Welcome! That's right, we have another installment of Bible Smack Ministries, our vlog. Today I'm going to react to a video I saw on YouTube. It was like the strongest argument for atheism. And basically in the argument, what he does is he talks about how if you look at it, we can take another worldview and then analyze it and dissect it and then point out everything that's wrong with it and then show where they use invalid arguments and things like that. But that if you did that to your religion, it would break down the same way. So basically he says, well, we're all doing the same thing. We're all just kind of lining up ourselves, and there's really kind of no point to it. So why believe in anything? Well, like right now, you feel a little something on your leg and you scratch and all that kind of stuff, because you feel something, you notice that there's reality, my mom, when I was young, would let me know about reality when she needed to wake me up. She'd kind of dribble my head like a basketball on the bed, and then whether I agreed to it or not, reality was there. The thing is, though, is that if we kind of pursue the famous philosophy that really kind of ingraids atheism first, skepticism, if we really kind of pursue that, we find ourselves in a worldview called nihilism. Now, what's nihilism? Well, it's not about how much you like Neil Armstrong. Okay, it's actually spelled different. It's got a little H in it, like annihilation or something. But basically, what happens is that you lose every way of apprehending truth. And once you lose every way of apprehending truth, then you lose, a knowledge of morality, a knowledge of reality. All of a sudden you might dress up like the Joker and shoot a bunch of people. Because after all, what is the point? So these are things that are kind of very dangerous if reality is really real, first of all. But also, it really kind of loses any purpose or sense in anything. Because if you can't figure out what's right, what's wrong, what's true, what's false, there's no real point to it. The problem is that this is kind of like the way of the atheist. They kind of get stuck in this reality because there's no, push on anything. And I want to speak to y'all now. If you happen to be someone who is agnostic or atheist and you're listening to this show, I want you to kind of take a look at this stuff, and if you are seeking the truth. Now, maybe you might be someone who's like kind of getting on here because some Christian did you wrong or something like that, and you hate Christianity or something like that, or maybe you didn't like all the rules and the idea of a Bible and authoritarianism and all this kind of stuff where you're held to some sort of other accountability. At that point, you're not going to listen. You might make some good jokes, hopefully. Some of them won't be even that funny. But basically, if you want to get something out of this, I want you to be someone kind of seeking the truth. How do you come to truth? How do you know what you know and that it's actually on a actual type of authority? Now, most people in atheism start to develop, even though they didn't really have much of a philosophy, because all their philosophy says is no. It's like that wrestler, Daniel Bryan. He's like, no, but you don't have anything to actually kind of build on with that. You just have something negative. Well, basically, when we look at things, a lot of atheists will go to science, and they'll say science says this and science says that. But really, science says that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, don't even throw that one over there, 10 picnic tables behind me. It doesn't tell me anything about the picnic tables. It just tells me that they're there. It doesn't tell me who put them there. It doesn't tell me if there's a great purpose or a great design for it to be there. It just tells me that there's 10 picnic tables behind me. Okay? So, if you want to obtain truth, science can't say very much of anything, especially because you might not see the other picnic table. There might be picnic tables that you don't even know about, and you might even forget about some picnic tables. So, basically, it can't really tell you much of anything. There has to be a philosophy behind it. Now, a lot of naturalists is the philosophy that a lot of atheists and scientists hold to jointly, and that's that everything in the world is exactly the way it's always been. It's natural. It never changed. There's nothing miraculous. It just is what it is, and we base that on science. It cannot change or anything. And they'll say that's the only way that we can conduct science. Well, science was kind of conducted through the scientific method. And it was also before it was a philosophy called empiricism, done by John Locke. And so it was through a philosophy of understanding the world to where you could find out evidence, and it was based on a scientific method, all done before atheism, all done before evolution. And in fact, one of the greatest scientists ever, Isaac Newton, was not an evolutionist. He was not a naturalist. He was not an atheist. Okay? Isaac Newton believed in a God. I don't know if I would call him a conservative evangelical, but he definitely believed in God. Basically, he believed in the God of the Bible, and he even believed in Jesus Christ. So, you can actually hold the science without these things, but the problem is an atheist has to use this philosophy of a closed system where nothing ever changes in order for it to be true. Now, that means they have to base everything on the facts that they have gathered. Well, how long has modern science been gathering these facts? Well, a lot of our modern scientific equipment has only been working for maybe 100 years or so, maybe 200 years. But you don't have a lot of these facts available to us. They're scientifically verifiable to go back and, let's say, like the 5,000, 6,000 years of recorded human history. We don't have any scientific kind of breakthroughs past that point. We only have 100 or 200 years of scientific information. Now, you can rely empirically on history, but as I said again, it doesn't lead to billions of years. It doesn't lead to even millions of years. So, basically, we're actually very limited on what we can actually say and what we can't say. Reality is changing all the time if you're an empiricist. Number one, you don't even know if what you're gathering is true. You have to have a little bit of faith in that. What if, you're a bunch of chemicals that are mixed up? What if you have, something wrong with you? What if you're crazy? There's a lot of different things that can go on with that. And in fact, even Albert Einstein believed that there was a God because he believed that there was evidence, and John Locke also believed in God. He believed that there was evidence, like that tree is something that I can sense, so I know that I've been able to sense it, but it's able to be sensed in the first place. Both have to happen, even though both are independent of each other. You see what I'm saying? It's not that I made that tree sensible so that I could see it. No, the tree was already there. It already had color. It already had mass and density. And I already had eyes and already had ears and already was able to, see it myself. Okay, so basically, with both of those in place, those independent variables, there seems to be a design. So basically, the naturalist has a lot of things kind of going against them. Nature is always changing, and their understanding of nature is changing. When I was little, when we thought of an atom, they told us to think about these little bitty balls, okay? Some were called protons, and then some were called neutrons, and then these even littler ones called electrons, and they'd kind of hover around in a little disk around that nucleus, okay? Then, by the time I got to middle school, all of a sudden they say, well, actually, it probably looks like a cloud, okay? When, Darwin did his theory of evolution, he said the cell is the smallest form of organism. It can never break down past a cell. So a cell has to be very simple. Well, a cell is made of 1 trillion parts, okay? And I know that 1 trillion doesn't sound much if you're into Obamonomics. But if you're into the real life, it's hard to have, any kind of computer made of 1 trillion parts. I don't know if we can design a computer like that, much less that one could accidentally copy.